So we're just taking a quick look at Trias here on the daily time frame, and as we can see, we are getting a little bit of a retracement over the past few days. I think this was probably fairly obvious to most people that this was going to happen. If you're looking at your Fibonacci levels, you can see I've got my fib level obviously pulled from the all-time high down to that current bear market low. You can see here we got stuck basically in and around that 0.78 Fibonacci at around $15, which is a psychological level of resistance as well. And with Bitcoin having a fairly obvious chance of a rollover with the ETF approval and looking quite toppy in general, I did think a pullback was quite likely in the market. And with Bitcoin having that pullback from down from around 49k to around 42k, I think we're at, you can see quite clearly that we have had Trias. You know, it was coiling up like this. Everyone's thinking it's going to get continuation, but right now we're just coming down to retest some of these lows, as you can see here for Trias. We kind of had this coiling motion that a lot of people have been looking at like this, and we're expecting, you know, the break, the retest, and the move to the upside. But I think with Bitcoin leading the market down in this short-term retracement that we are seeing, you can see we've got the breakdown and probably the back test here for Trias, and we probably could see a little bit more retracement in my opinion. I think this $10 area, as I said before, would be a very, very nice little area of support for Trias. I might just stick a line on here actually. Let me just put this at around $10, just so we can basically talk about this in the future if we do come down and hit this nicely. I do think this is quite a potentially obvious area that we could be looking at as a support if we don't get all the way back down to that 618, obviously, which I think is quite far and probably quite unlikely. Obviously, we've got that $20 area of resistance as well, so these are your two targets really, aren't they, if you could deviate far enough from this Fibonacci level. But right now Trias is fine, isn't it? It's doing what it needs to do. No one needs to panic. It's just following the market right now after a big rally. I think a retracement was quite likely after such a parabolic run, as you can see here. We basically just did a, what did we do here? A 4.5x from this breakout point to this swing high. 3x. Let's go for 300% from around $4. I mean, that, hold on. My brain, my math isn't mathing right now. 4, that's 2. 12, 16 is a 4x, isn't it? Yeah, so it's around a 4x, even though it said 300%. My brain, obviously 300% is a 4x. I'm just not braining today. It's a Saturday, okay? So we're basically looking at a little bit of retracement here, I think, for Trias if the market continues to sell off, which is fine by me. I think some more people will get some more decent entries down here. I'm not selling any, I'm keeping it for the long term. I think it's probably going to do quite well going into this next bull market. You can see we've got my fib extension here ready. It looks like it's really poised and geared up now for a potentially tasty run. I think realistically we're looking at heading up into, I think for the peak of this bull market, for the all-time high around what we're looking at, $31. I think realistically, I always go for around a 10 or 20x from the previous all-time high for cryptos like this. So anywhere from around $300 to around $600 here, in and around that 161 Fibonacci extension, I think would be a very reasonable target in my opinion. You can see on the chart, it's really not that far to go. We're actually about halfway there in terms of the logarithmic scale. So I think Trias is fine, doing what it needs to do, looking really good, and I can't wait to see what happens next with it. So